the end of last year. Are we going to see it here in Riyadh to once again deny them that opening, not only for their first win, chicken dinner, I suppose, of the tournament, but also for Brazil's first win at a global stage?
And hopefully we can see it. I think they're by far the biggest favorite coming out of Brazil, but you also got Team Liquid in the mix. They did really well. They were actually our PMSL America's champions. So, you know, they're coming in hot, and it was kind of funny as we were in the player lounge before this. I could just see all the players standing there nervous. I was talking to them and be like, hey, how you feel? Oh, I'm not nervous. I'm ready to go. And I asked,
why would you say that?
What are you talking about? I'm not nervous at all. I'm ready to win this one.
Actually, I'm really calm, actually.
And I'll tell you what, I asked each majority of the teams, right? Hey, what do you expect on your day one? And almost every single one of them told me, we're going to get at least 50 points today.
Okay.
Mathematically, though.
I believe all of them.
Yeah.
All of them can do it. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how many points are earned on a. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out later because you've given me.
I don't think there's enough enough points to go around.
It
for
depends
all
how many
of them
points you earn per match, right?
That's right.
That's what you're looking for because you've got 63 potential eliminations. I'd have to add up the placement points. Yeah, I don't think there's enough. There'd have to be like way over 100 points a map to be able to get 16 teams to get 50 points. So yeah, you're definitely lying. Pack in the fibbing, get to playing.
Well, you know what? You got to have your hopes high, that's for sure, because that trophy is too gorgeous. You know, one of these teams is looking to put their hands on it and become the Esports World Cup champion here. The PUBG Mobile World Cup champions at the Esports World Cup here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So, you know, I got a chance to, hear some of the boys talking about some of their dark horse picks. As a matter of fact, when I talked, I heard Seven say, like TJB. Who do you think is your dark horse coming into this one?
Dark horses, I think probably. Oh, this is okay. This is difficult. I don't think. Okay, let me start again. Okay. Vampire. I think they count as a dark horse, and I'll tell you for why.
Okay.
They haven't been playing to the best of their ability. They haven't had the best of years leading up to this either. They have come through on that special invite. And so therefore, I think that, in my estimation, I think they are a dark horse. We always see them somehow just randomly pull it out the bag here in Riyadh. That's what I'm hoping to see from this roster.
Yeah,
I think realistically, it would be very unexpected for that to happen, but I definitely believe in this roster.
Okay, I believe in them too. I mean, talking to Sertani, he's excited, he's ready to go. We saw a quote there from Tony K say that, they didn't have the group stage performance that they were hoping for, but they're looking to kind of retain that title once again. And I actually got to talk to Twisted Minds. That's going to be my dark horse pick.
Okay.
They've been putting in quite a bit of work here, but guys, it is time! 16 teams, 64 players have traveled all over the world to the beautiful Riyadh, Saudi Arabia to attempt to become the first ever PUBG Mobile World Cup champions. And that path starts right now.
And it starts with the Infinix GT20 Pro with dual gaming chipsets and 144Hz AMOLED screen. The GT20 Pro will equip teams with up to 120 FPS, which is also the first batch of supported devices, offering esports level performance and visually stunning experiences in the 2024 PMWC, a western plane path to kick things off on Sanhok. It is going to cut around the side, maybe a little bit long to get towards Kampong and Langkawi and docks, but again, it's Sanhok. It's basically never impossible to get where you want to go.
That's a fact. And right now, I'm always looking at the center of the map because, we're going to go ahead and mix it all up over there. You're in a hot 10. Talent Esports. We got a hot drop, folks, and it's between Power and Talent. And we have a 1v1 situation. Trade out. Let's see who's going to get the better of this one. This could mean one of your teammates getting eliminated. Actually, two of them getting eliminated. Oh, and Power comes in with the help right at the right time.
Talon versus Power. I think, mentioning dark horses, I feel like Power might have that sort of strength to be able to take things down if it goes their way. But they're losing for Dan now, and they are down to just 3 players. All of them alive, but that's a cut across on the door frame. Yoru able to hold it down for Talon. Looks for another as well. Jumping across the UMP. Will be able to pop the reload here. Push Kante into the corner. And with a Tommy gun, it's not enough. Power goes down early in Hartin. It is Talent to take them down, and they're going to push forwards with 3 players remaining.
Unbelievable. So I think We were gonna see Talon drop a little bit further south and kind of do some split looting in this situation, but instead they opted to hot drop against Power in Hot Tin. They win that fight, and that is gonna be huge for them because now they're gonna worry about split looting. They got 4 points off the rip, and Power is gonna have to worry about them in the next couple Sandhawks we see the next few days.
Early lead for Talon, 4 points on the cards already. Losing a player for it though, potentially difficult to move through what is probably going to be quite a difficult set of rotations now. With the circle pushing up north, they're playing in Hatin. Currently no one holds that northern bridge, which is potentially a position for Tiamba to regroup towards. They might try and go for a 2-2 split. There's that beautiful compound that sits just to the south of that north bridge, which I'm expecting Tiamba to at least think about taking to regroup in, but it's a bit more centered over towards Paradise Resort.
Yeah, I mean, the zone is a perfect situation for them. A lot of IHC are off on that island on the north left side of the map, so they're going to have to get going pretty quickly here. But one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about, right, is boot camp.
It's true.
Because now that we do not see Team Falcons here,
Or Team Spirit.
That's right. Yeah, that left boot camp wide open. So Team Liquid are the squad to take that position, and they're going to be looted up to the teeth. So a very fortunate situation for them when it comes to Sandhawk.
Playing in the middle as well. This is a decent position. You always need to be careful about your northern flank from boot camp as we take a look at a bit of the replay between Talon and Power. Moving out from boot camp is always one of the more dangerous rotations that you see on Sandhawk. Team Liquid, they've actually put, I believe that's Cardozen, out on the east side, and they're currently now regrouping out of there. So they managed to make that position work for them. They left that one player out wide, gave them that route out, and secured a safe path to leave from the boot camp. They transitioned to the hills to the east. It's very well principled. It's a pretty standard early maneuver, but they've made it work.
Yeah, and that's what you want to do, especially when a zone like this happens. You want to be able to get even more central. And I said it in the interview I had earlier, right? You want to get in a central position with this kind of lobby. Edge style play is so much more difficult. You know, in earlier tournaments, it's easy, but
Ooh.
Mythic.
He's over the ridge.
Okay, he was able to get there just in time. One little tree hit like that could spell disaster, but he is able to get away with it for now.
Yeah, no one close enough just yet to be able to take them down. And this is that rotation now that Team Liquid have gone for. All IHC have got oversight onto the Talon position, and actually Tianba are currently watching out on the northern point of the east coast, which means that this crossing for Talon and Alolex IHC is going to be a little bit tricky, right? Especially if they want to go on his north side. Tiamba looking for boats moving around on the northern side, trying to protect their coastline from naval assaults on that northern edge. So currently playing on a 2-1-1 split, securing their rotations further south as well.
Yeah, I think a little IHC needs to play this a little bit more quietly right now. I mean, they still need to find a way into the circle, so I don't think they should be trying to make too much noise in this position. Yeah, Talon is a little bit pinched in between them and Tianba. And you can already see some teams on the rotation. Looking at TJB, this is Seven's dark horse pick for the tournament, and they've done pretty well. So I think I'm not shocked to hear that that's going to be his pick for this one.
I mean, they had a pretty decent time back in the group stages, finishing up in second, 106 points. I'm on the fence as to whether or not they are a dark horse, as to whether they would sort of count in that category. But I think that, you know, they may be not in the conversation of a lot of people talking about first place teams. But we have had to chuck most of those conversations out the windows, with Falcons going down, with Spirit going down, with some of the favorite teams not really picking up the pace in the group stages, like Alpha 7.
Yeah, and Alpha 7 in particular is definitely going to be a huge favorite for this one. And you can just see them on the move right now, moving just a little bit away from Vaughn, trying to find that solid position here. Almost every single squad is going to be in this spot. LIHC and Talon still need to find a way in, and that's the hard part about that island. If the zone does go there, it's like almost guaranteed a chicken dinner, double-digit elimination points. If the zone doesn't go there, you're gonna have a hard time in there. So they took that gamble, and unfortunately, it's not gonna pay off for this one. But let's see, they had to have that contingency plan on how to be able to get into this island. I'm very interested in seeing how they decide to execute that, though.
Alpha 7 playing close together near Barn. Looking for a little peek over those ridge lines. Twisted Minds find Alliance. This is on the northeast side of the main pack. Twisted Minds trying to hold out their ground. Alliance take a knock. They haven't been flushed just yet, and I think they've got a player close enough to just go for this res. If they've got the cover, yeah, you can see they are going to be able to manage that. Twisted Minds playing across that valley with the shots, not really going to send on it, not going to confirm that flush. Now the Northwest Island is still occupied. Alola XIHC and Talon still over there. They're going to need to cross fairly soon.
For those of you guys that have been watching from the beginning of this tournament, you can already tell that the level of play here has increased dramatically. You know, no crazy fights off the rip. Everybody's just moving inch by inch, trying to get a good position, and then you're going to hear those shots ring out a little bit further. Of course, excluding the hot drop we saw from Power, actually not Power, but from Talon, right? Talon did hot drop on a Power, and we're able to take full advantage of it. You can see Revel putting some shots onto Alliance across the way. And we're going to see some of these pop shots here and there, but all these teams, for the most part, are avoiding a fight at all costs. Because if a fight does ring out now, your chances of getting third party are practically 100%.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very quick as a response. Although from the teams in the middle, it's less likely they leave those locations to go for a third party, right? Currently, we have IWNRX slap bang middle of this next circle, and if they push out, they're going to leave a vacuum. Someone else is going to fill that. So they're going to be left, unless they win that fight that they go for, it's basically, they're basically done for. And in general, that ring that sits around them is also going to be pretty difficult to leave. The first person to make a move has a little bit of a mark placed above them.
I will say, though, there is one team in particular who is not afraid to do that, to leave a central position, to go off to the edge and try to take you out. And that is PMWC.
Okay.
Right? These guys are ultra aggressive. Now, I think that is one of their strengths, because if they do go to that edge, wipe out that team, they get a ton of points, third-party loot, and then they can get back. But that could also spell and be their weakness, because if they do, like you mentioned, go out to that edge, now the zone may hard shift away from you, you lose a player to that fight, it could really spell disaster. So I'm interested to see if PMWC will take those risks in a lobby like this, because it's really difficult, especially when you're in a nice central position. Sometimes you're like, hey, let's just win this game from here.
Can be pretty tempting to try and do that. And at the moment, IWNRX sit in one of those junction compounds, which is a focal point on a lot of Sandhawk circles. You get those compounds that just sort of sit in this valley where the roads join, a couple of buildings, some nice hard cover, some decent sight lines. Difficult to leave, though. Difficult to approach and difficult to leave.
I'll say this.
If the position's right for it. But
I'll
there
say
are
it's
some
even
hills
difficult to
around
defend sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, because right now they're in that central position. I hope they have some vehicles, though, just positioned. Because if we see a hard shift to the north or south, they may have to use them, because it's very, very difficult to walk away from those houses. But we'll see if it ends up paying off for them. If the zone centers up multiple times, they're going to be solid.
Looks like 4MV find DRX. DRX, by the way, blanks assertion that they're going to be 16th place. And to be honest, I can't disagree too much with it. I think that this is a team that they just found something completely different in the survival stage, right? They did play second there, but they were dead last in the group stages. They're going to be coming back into the fight with those top 12 teams that they just couldn't do anything against. And it looks like 4 Miracle Vibes are going to remind them just what it's like to be playing in this lobby.
Yeah, that's kind of a double-edged sword, right? When you do so well during a survival stage, because sometimes you can get a little bit of false confidence, just thinking, oh man, we figured out what the problem was. All we gotta do is play like this during the main stage and we'll be top 2. No, sir. It's a totally different lobby. So I hope that they understand that. They went home, been back to the drawing board and made some changes here. All right, next zone does pop on up, and it is gonna head on over to the east side here. So Alula, IHC, Vampire, even Tiamba are gonna have to start pushing on in.
And they are gonna push straight on in. At the moment, Vampire looking to regroup. Nuzi and Schwepp disparate from these front two, and it looks like they're gonna have to take the fight. Alolex IHC, not 4 players though, just yet. Demo's still on the swim, staying on that island on the crossing, and Vampire still just trying to fall back, trying to disengage. You can see 2 of their players posting up on the high ground, but Stoned, I think he's locked into this fight now. Godless wants to move forwards, but he's nading, retreating, staggering his retreat. keeping it under control. Tony K gets a little bit of high ground.
Nice
and
shot.
goes down. Goes for the spray with the M4. Gets the flush almost immediately. A 1-2 punch from the players on the inside. Vampire still playing 2-2. Tony K back behind the rock, but Godless has to slow things down as damage goes his way. Alex moving forwards and Stones holding nerve.
Oh, I actually should have known that there was going to be a player coming from that angle. It's a super common position to play, but they got circumvented and taken out. So now they're going to have to make it happen. Godless especially is going to have to try and find a shot on a Tony K, but there's not going to be a really angle from there. I think at this point, they're just going to have to try and brute force their way through.
Something the Vampire were doing previously, and it's something that you said you don't think is going to work, is that edge style. Oh, there's Demo. It comes in, the third-party angle. I think they're going to know where it's from. Does Tony K have cover? That's the question. Newsy is looking for it as well. In the meantime, Talon are moving in behind this, and Demo is vulnerable to it. Stoned is taking a 1 versus 2. He's already struck first blow and will take down Alex. Godless now with a nade as he puts one to the back of the warehouse. Tries to find the second player from LOLX IHC on the angle, and there's the Talon third party I was talking about on the northern side. That's the off-angle removed. Dispatched and flushed. Stone with Godless stepping out. He's got the DBS, and Vampire holds strong. Tony K is down. Can they get the res? No. There's the flush.
Let's see what happens. Here comes that third party real quick. Team Liquid, they knew this fight was here. They know this area so well. They did drop into boot camp in the first place, so you can see them run over here, and I like this. They get a quick elimination, and they leave. They don't stay in the blue zone any longer than they need to. Take the money and run.
Getting on out of there, but they've got to push through Reject. They are in the way right now of Team Liquid's approach from the western edge. I'm surprised we're not seeing more fights popping off now because the north side is starting to get very, very crowded. Tiampa are going to be looking for their way in on the eastern edge. They rotate around the top, past Camp Bravo, and pushing on the east near Twisted Minds, but Reject still holding out Team Liquid. An opening, though, found by Cardozin as he nails the headshot.
You can see Team Liquid, they are under pressure now. This is zone 3. You can see they sent 2 players out in a vehicle to try and get a good angle onto Team Reject. They are starting to crowd on them. Team Reject's gonna have to hit a brutal nade.
Ooh.
Oh, and he just misses it. You can see him go up with the up though. Gonna get that quick thirst, secure that point. Team Liquid is now in trouble.
They've already taken casualties. Sarah is down for Reject, but they still stand stalwart in the way. Chief, though, has other ideas. The SK-12 able to find first strike on the engagement, but the off angle is Talon. They're still pushing in behind, and this is disaster for Team Liquid, and apparently disaster for Reject, as Talon just start to sweep on through. 7 eliminations now on the match. They lost one early to the hot drop, and they want more. They want the rest of Reject.
Talon, so fortunate. Timing being perfect for them. 7 eliminations. That is a great start no matter how they end this game. And in Sandhawk, if you can get away with 7 points, you'll be more than happy. Make that 8 points just like that. Now they're looking to soak up some more. Right now, they're just playing cleanup duty. Just, hey, waiting for a fight to happen on the edge, come in right at the right time, steal some elimination points. That's huge.
They were able to get that 4 points off the rip on the hot drop, that third party over towards the boot camp fight against Vampires, now sweeping through Liquid and the rest of Reject, who have, by the way, managed to res up to 3 players alive. It looked a lot shakier than it did, but the Reject team can start to strike in towards the IWNRX compound, which is going to be tough. Sarah, though, wants to clear out the back, wants to try and get rid of Talon as an annoyance.
Oh,
There's the spray down, but the off angle is there and able to take care of Sarah. Reject not going to go down without a fight, but a second knock sent their way makes it all the harder. 1 player now to stand in the way, but Talon are down to 2. A sliver of HP on one of their players, and Yoru and Axel need to try and make it work.
That nade barely missing. Here comes Dwello running up front close and personal. Yoru with the M4. Oh, he's gonna go down just like that, but Dwello gets caught from IWNRX. It's third party after third party, and that's Team Reject out. 12 teams remaining, and we're gonna see a whole lot more get dominated as we look at Tianba putting some pressure on the Twisted Minds. That Molly looks good.
Over the top of the rock, and there's the knock you're looking for. Will be able to find one. Tiamba have suffered casualties, but so have Twisted Minds. 2 versus 3 as Tiamba try and crawl their way forwards. Another knock found. And Twisted Minds holding as much as they can on the east with the 2 players. 4 MV. They're moving around that barn basin over on the east side, and they want to try and take control of this. Go for a third party flex out.
And Talon get another couple of eliminations. They've been hanging out in the blue so far deep that they're watching these fights happen, and they've been stealing point after point after point. That's 10 already for them. and they might be able to sneak one more away, but they only have one player alive, and he's getting chunked down by the blue zone. Now we see Alpha 7, 2 players down, 2 remaining. Let's see if they're going to be able to get these reses off because all the pressure's on them. Everybody wants their position.
Yeah, with that western shift on the circle, it gives them a massive slice of things. And that hilltop is going to be all important. That vantage point it will afford them, if they can hold on to it, will be invaluable. But so many teams, you're right, just going to put pressure on. Not least of which is TJB on the southwest side.
This timing is so perfect for Alpha 7 because they're able to get these reses off. They need to be able to do it so quickly, and it's going to work out for them. They're going to have all 4 up in this zone. So I don't think these teams that are right close to them realize just how hurt Alpha 7 was. And that one little mistake could wreak disaster for their squads. You can see ESPORTS starting to do some shenanigans, driving around. Now going to be able to apply some pressure to Xavier. Let's see if Rezi's able to get that crucial first knock.
Lamborghini trying to hold the off angle.
Got it.
Gets the shot. Actually, no, it's a spray down from the off angle. The 2 players moving off forwards. They've split Xavier on their hold. And now Boom look to open the door. Paragin on the inside looks to hold with the spray down, but it's not there. And now Lamborghini, last hope for Xavier, has a challenge from an EPS, and he is not up to the task. Yummy able to put him in the dirt. A Xavier fall to Boom.
Boom ESPORTS with a critical finish right there. That's 4 points for them. Now they're starting to get warmed up here. We still see a couple squads that need to get moving. I'm looking at you, 4MV, Tianba as well. Dilliston Mines with a beautiful couple knocks right there, but he's going to go out just like that. Still, points being spread pretty much across the majority of these teams.
Boom, with 4 players, they're now starting to extend their presence against Alliance on the northern side. Not too much to worry about. I'll take that back, actually, as Bombit goes down. Gets flushed as well for Boom, playing on as 3. Alpha 7 and TJB, currently, the 2 teams with 4 players alive. Take that back. 4 Miracle Vibes still have 4 on the eastern side. But 4MV, only the 1 elimination. Taking a knock as well. Trying to carry themselves forwards. Move up from the cover of barn.
Here goes Rebel. Now it's just play keep away. I mean, they are gifted this circle. This is Alpha 7 at their best right here, where they don't got to worry about a single thing. Just shoot at everything that moves, and they do it better than anybody else. Now you look at TJB on this edge here, trying to get some points on the Boom. They are hurting. Only 1 player up left, and they need to finish this rather quickly because this zone is gonna hurt.
Alpha 7 holding still in the buildings, but they've only got 1 elimination so far. Actually, no, they've got 2 now. Trying to take care of a couple more if they can to get those chicken dinners in with a decent elimination count. That's what you're looking for. DRX are alive quite late in this one, but they're trying to push in from the southeast side. They've only got 2 players now standing, and it's going to be difficult. Next to 4MV. TJB just keep things going though. 3 eliminations, and they are going to take a lot of wind out the sails of Alpha 7 if they keep taking these points.
They're just trying to soak up as many as they possibly can because they know getting in this next zone is going to be pretty difficult here. So if they can get some of these elimination points just to kind of hedge their bets, that's going to work out perfectly. And right now you see Alliance with a beautiful shot onto 4MV. He's going to go and start sending it. 4MV are completely trapped. There's no way they make out of this alive.
Apex tries to withstand the nade and will be able to do so. Not going to be falling victim to it just yet. And Alliance are eating lead from the off angle as well. Might just slow things down. That's DRX actually having a shout into it. And Flower with the first over towards Boom. Only 1 player now remaining. 5 eliminations on Boom's tally. And Frenzy looks for the cross, but he's cut down. Cut straight on through. And that is another off angle coming through from TJB. 5 eliminations now towards the top. And it looks like Alpha 7's challengers are going to be them. They've been just circling them for a while.
Great teamwork right there from TJB. Not to mention that looked like to be an offensive smoke from Flower. We're going to make all those players on that edge have to just run blindly on in. They were able to take them out and clear that side completely. Now, all they got to worry about is what's right in front of them, and that is Alpha 7. How are they going to approach this fight? That's the big question. Now they took out Alliance, so this area is completely clean. It's one big fight, and I guarantee you, Alpha 7 and TJB, whoever wins this one should win this match.
Alpha 7 need to figure out how they're going to leave their buildings now. If they allow TJB to control the outside terrain, this game is over for them. But they have started to move down this hillside. This valley that sits in the middle is such a fight catalyst for these next few moments, and it's what's keeping TJB at bay. It's what's stopping Alpha 7 from fully flexing out, as well as DRX and 4MV's last remnants on the other side.
Yeah, Alpha 7 has to make a decision, right? Do we just stay and try to get these points that are pretty easy right now against DRX, Or do we just try to turn around and take out TJB? Because if they decide to get into that fight a little too early with TJB, oh, and it's going to happen. The zone lands right here. These are definitely going to be your winners, folks.
4MV out. DRX trapped behind a rock. It's all waiting for it, but GK first goes down. DRX able to keep suppression going. Alpha 7 yet to really fully leave. I mean, they pushed 2 players down to the tree. There's the first knock to DRX. Nate's starting to come up from Alpha 7, and 2 players from TJB down now. There's DRX finally falling, but Alpha 7 need to capitalize on the disarray as it stands. A super low HP player at the back. They can't let this heal go through, and now with 1 player remaining, Alpha 7 look to move across the hillside, but Flower is going to stay alive for just a moment longer. First knock over to Revo behind the tree. It's not going to happen. TJB fall, and Alpha 7 claim the first. The chicken dinner over on Sandhawk will be theirs. They stood in that compound. They allowed their buildings now. If they allow TJB to control the outside terrain, be at bay, the other side.
Yeah, against
now, Alpha 7 look to move across the hillside, but Flower is going to stay alive for just a moment longer. First knock over to Revo behind the tree. It's not going to happen. TJB fall, and Alpha 7 claim the first. The chicken dinner over on Sandhawk will be theirs. They stood in that compound. They allowed no one any quarter, and it will.
It's my question. This one off this, right? They're going to be able to get it done. They were supposed to win that game, and they did it with some.
You can't take it away from them, though. They held their nerve. They did what they needed to do, and that's the question we've had about Alpha 7, is choking in those important moments. They kick things off well. It looks like they're pretty chill about it, too. They are not taking it for granted. Those racing suits tied up around the waist, keep it cool, making sure they're not over-perspiring, staying hydrated. You love to see it.
That's right. Oh man, we take a look at this replay right here. Flower was doing so great this match.
Oh, yeah.
He had that choke point down, and he did a great job of just defending it with the rest of his squad. Another great performance for TJB, and this was 7's Dark Horse pick. So they really worked this one really well. 8 eliminations in total. Definitely not something you should shake your head at, that's for sure.
Another big story for me in this match is Talon. 10 eliminations that they were able to get, taking down Power Esports over in Hutton early, then moving through and being a third-party demon on that western side. That was really their legacy within that match. And I think, you know, Talon, I don't really think that they've got too much of a hope of taking the title, but if they keep doing things like that, they could certainly at least ruin other teams' days, if not get up on that podium themselves.
Well, Talon was a perfect name because they were like vultures, just cleaning up everything around the edge. They'll take that all day long. Guys, we got a whole lot more coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
4,000 of years, my wrath has burned in the waters of the deep. Its power awakens me. The kingdom will fall once more. The sea will consume all
7, they are out for blood. They are out to get themselves a trophy
Jason.
and out to get themselves a victory here at PMWC. Max, man, that was a fantastic first game here.
Alpha 7.
Get away! Where's
Go
our
on.
security?
Was that Ratto Boy?
Ratto boy. I was really hoping he would trip and fall, to be honest.
I should have, like, just right, get him.
Yeah, that would have been good. It could have fixed his face. But Alpha 7, they come out really strong here, Maxman. A victory on Sandhawk, get themselves up in first place off the bat. And Optio, so we're pretty satisfied with the first day. We know that we could have finished at the top. We fixed our mistakes and we're confident that we can be number 1. Well, right now, they are number 1.
That's a weird way to say second place. Yeah, I'm doing that too much, I feel like.
Well, currently not the case. They've got
You just
themselves
wanna
a good
get-
compound.
You just want to get haters from everyone.
I got so much already. I'm like, oh, what's a few more DMs?
Lean
Like,
into it.
I mean,
you know.
look, Alpha 7, this position, you get the good compound on the good mountain. Ooh, what's going to happen? I wonder.
Yeah, it was going to be difficult for any team to really dislodge them from that
Yeah.
position, right? The one team that could have potentially done it would have been TJB. They seized the high ground above that compound, which is technically the biggest vulnerability of that compound, but they weren't keen on trying to push against it. And I understand why, because teams over in the east side, southeast side, etc., would have had line of sight on them if you're going to push. So you've got to be very careful. A lot of smokes. Potentially done it would have been TJB. They seized the high ground above that compound, which is technically the biggest vulnerability of that compound, but they weren't keen on trying to push against it. And I understand why, because teams over in the east side, southeast side, etc., would have had line of sight on them if you're going to push. So you've got to be very careful. A lot of smokes. Potentially done it would have been TJB. They seized the high ground above that compound, which is technically the biggest vulnerability of that compound, but they weren't keen on trying to push against it. And I understand why, because teams over in the east side, southeast side, etc., would have had line of sight on them if you're going to push. So you've got to be very careful. A lot of smokes. Potentially done it.
do get from this game, because there's a lot of questions around Vampire. How are they going to perform in this event, considering they're the back-to-back champions? But this event is the most stacked event they've had to compete in these mid-season competitions. But, I mean, it is Sandhawk to start things off with, right? We're not really going to judge teams too heavily about that. However, with 3 Erangels coming up, that's where we're really going to start to get them under the microscope.
Yeah, I mean, we had that hot drop right, so I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to see something on Erangel. Hopefully not, because that is going to become a real major issue for teams that are involved in those. I mean, we were talking about Military Islands in particular. Are we going to have something happening there? It should just be Team Liquid and 4MB. They should be fine.
Sure.
But otherwise, looking at this game, right, Kalaris, I think that despite this being a really tough game in terms of circle and like the terrain that was at play, we saw a lot of great plays, and especially Tiamba, the team that you're looking at, that wide wrap. Sure, they don't win the game, but I think it was one of the best plays based on a really tough scenario that was ahead of them.
Yeah, they were waiting until Circle 2 really popped to see how they were going to approach what would be the later stages of the mid-game. I thought maybe they were going to try and camp out Talon for quite a while. They decided to sit there for a little bit too long and then managed to go for that wide wrap. Now, I do think Twisted Minds was slightly caught off guard by them coming in from that angle, because by the time it comes to, what, end of third circle, you're like, okay, surely people shouldn't be coming in from here. But Tiamba has shown these tendencies in the past of going for that wide wrap onto the east side with a circle like this. So, I mean, Twisted Minds lose out on that fight, but Tiamba takes a lot of casualties. It's difficult to make that work when you've left it so late.
Yeah, for sure. And looking at also Alpha 7, we were talking about their position. So, sure, TJB did play it really well at like playing the high ground position on their spot. I feel like if they did go for the 2-2 split you mentioned, they could have got way more eliminations this game. I really feel like all the teams that are trying to scramble away from Paradise Resort, from all the terrain around that spot, they're trying to cross the road, make it back uphill. I think they could have got maybe double-digit elimination game for Alpha 7, but they were just, we have a good spot. We're going to be a little bit more relaxed this match.
And I get it. If you've got a compound like that and the circle's coming your way, why not? But you're right. I mean, in terms of what is the vulnerability of that compound, like I was mentioning before, usually it's the high ground. So having a 2-2 split above there to be able to see elsewhere, because if you're just in the compound, all you can see is towards the east, southeast, east, and things like that. But hey, I mean, TJB overall, going for the wide wrap north to try and, because they did not want to push onto Alpha 7. I get why they did that, especially with some of those last circle shifts here. I feel like we're just, if you let us keep going, we're going to talk for ages.
Hey, we got time. Keep going. Okay. I don't get paid by the word, okay?
Yeah, you said that. But the fact that TJB went for that, I get it, but it's the it's not the winning play. It's like almost a consolation play of like, okay, we know we're not going to push onto Alpha 7. It's difficult to make this work with the circle the way.
I also really like the idea of like they're trying to avoid Alpha 7, but they got themselves in the position where they can see Apex from 4MV, they can see DRX. So even if they don't go for the win, they get second place like pretty much 100% of the time because they're just clearing the little like solos that are just remaining.
I mean,
in the
maybe
grass.
if we were at a different stage of this event, maybe if we're into the last day,
maybe they're a bit
and Alpha 7 or TJB need the points, maybe we'll see more of an aggressive play.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, and that's a fair assessment of it, because for the start, and again, it's Sandhawk, you've only got 3 of them out of the 18 matches that you're going to be playing. What better to do than to just guarantee yourself double digits? I mean, that's what we saw from Talon, right? Okay, with the frag potential from them on the west side. Guarantee yourself double digits on, I would say, the most difficult to navigate battleground that we play. Because it's very volatile as Sandhawk.
Especially Paradise Resort terrain.
Yeah,
It's like you have nothing all around it. It's just like uphill, downhill, roads across, and teams are already in position. If you were over to the western side this game, you had a horrible time making those moves, except for Chamba that went for that wide wrap, right? But otherwise, this was a bad Sandhawk for these guys. Going into Wrangle, we might see like some different teams be at the top this time around.
Well, one thing I'm curious about, and we noticed in this last match, is we did have a couple of roster changes in the match, right? For instance, LIHC putting Alex in over Rogue, which Rogue played the entire group stage. Alex didn't play a single match until now. And also Shadows in over Chua for DXavier, which again, same situation. Didn't play in group stage and now is playing in finals? I don't understand it.
They just do rock, paper, scissors, who plays, and like whoever wins, like you won this game, I guess. Like there's no logic to it, right?
There's none.
I feel like there's a little bit of logic to the 4MV one with a Baron and Arrow. Like they would do a rotation every few days, and like if you were a little bit tired, just like go to bed and just don't play on that day. But, like here's just super random. And Alex in particular, I feel like he's one of the better players on the team. Shadow, also known as Levi's in the past, he was just incredible when playing for his team back in PMGC. So like, why are you putting that player on the bench until the finals? Did you want to give him a break when you could have maybe not qualified? It's weird. I don't get the logic.
Experience, man. Like the best way to learn how these lobbies are playing is literally firsthand.
Sure. So I don't know. That's my answer. I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay, well, as we do get into Erangel, what are your expectations going into Erangel in particular? I know we saw a lot of Alliance, like spread positions, like spread out. We did see a little bit of it here in Sandhawk on the northeast side, but they eventually did get punished. Is there anything particular you're keeping an eye out on, Maxman?
Oof, I don't know on this one. I mean, Erangel, I think, is going to be... We're going to have faster rotations, hopefully, from teams, right? And not giving the space to the True Alliance like we saw in the group stage. So that's what I'm expecting. Teams not getting away with these big splits. But the last game was very weird, so like I'm not using it as a real expectation for the rest of the day.
No, as we say, usually Sandhawk plays very differently to Erangel and Miramar. I think one thing I was almost like, oh, teacher, me.
Expecting.
They eventually did get punished. Is there anything particular you're keeping an eye out on, Maxman?
Oof, I don't know on this one. I mean, Erangel, I think, is going to be... We're going to have faster rotations, hopefully, from teams, right? And not giving the space to the True Alliance like we saw in the group stage. So that's what I'm expecting. Teams not getting away with these big splits. But the last game was very weird, so like I'm not using it as a real expectation for the rest of the day.
No, as we say, usually Sandhawk plays very differently to Erangel and Miramar. I think one thing I was almost like, oh, teacher, me, because we'd only gone to talk really about 1 or 2 teams in the pre-show, but I do still want to talk about Tiamba and kind of why I picked them as a whole, because let's look at their group stage, right? Tiamba, obviously China has a lineage of excellence, and in the group stage, no chicken dinners. Some people think, why are you picking them if they've got no chicken dinners? 5 podium finishes. If there is just a slight tweak in some of those games, they get wins. They could have been #1 in group stage. I think they get wins here in the main event, and I think they take #1 spot eventually.
Well, we will find out. Obviously, we still have a lot of matches to go today, but to remind you guys once again at home who are watching, make sure you're checking out the Violet Thunder set based off the design by Ailu in the PDP X Esports Outfit Design Contest, which of course incorporates aspects of that PMWC trophy, which looks so sick. Honestly, as you saw a performer at the start of the day, I would wear those pants for sure. The little purple flames looking fantastic, but also is looking fantastic. Our commentators, let's head back to them so we can finally kick off our back-to-back-to-back Erangels.
You two.
Back to back. First Erangel of the finals about to happen in just a few moments, folks. Alpha 7 starting off so strong. And at the same time, one of the big surprises for me was that hot drop, right? Talon taking the hot drop onto Power, getting it done. Let's see if we're going to see any other surprises as we get into the first Erangel of the finals.
The best way to get it done, Hot Jukes, as we all know, is with the Infinix GT20 Pro. With dual gaming chipsets and 144Hz AMOLED screen, the GT20 Pro will equip teams with up to 120 FPS, which is the first batch of supported devices, offering esports level performance and visually stunning experiences in the 2024 PMWC. The plane path, North George over to Milta. It's going to cut Primorsk a little bit far away, but you can drop west coast, grab some vehicles, rotate down. Military base potentially a little bit difficult to get to here.
Yes, it's gonna be for sure. And one of the teams that likes to drop into military base is gonna be none other than 4MV. So let's see where they decide to go. They should have a couple of secondary drop locations, but we also know where a few of these teams are definitely going to drop. Alpha 7 already out the plane in North George, where they're just nice and happy.
I'm looking right now at the South George drop, Alolex IHC, and I think, yeah, that's... Wait, who else is that? That's Twisted Minds.
Twisted Minds, yeah.
Over towards South George.
Great.
They are entangled right now, with demos sort of in the middle of that Twisted Minds split. Potential for danger here. Playing that crates position for Twisted Minds. They'll have sightlines out to the east. They should have seen this parachute happen with a west coast rotation potential in this circle. It could get dangerous for them.
Yes, it can. And, you know, one team it could definitely get dangerous for is going to be Vampire, because Vampire normally likes to take Primorsk, but unfortunately, just due to this plane path, they decided to go their secondary drop location all the way towards Milta. So I'm looking to see them just loot up very, very quickly here, get some vehicles, and try to head to Prim as fast as they can.
Could be on the cards for them, but they've got a lot of teams in their way. Going to be pretty tricky. We did see Reiji as well move out and take a vehicle for Reject near that outpost for Twisted Minds, so potential slow down on that angle. A lot of teams dropping out to the east side of this island are going to have to make their way west, which makes the exit for Pachinki pretty important to get done in a timely fashion. DXavier going to be playing up in that angle. For MV, they are actually heading out further east, so they want to grab... Okay, they were just heading towards the buggy to get an extra vehicle. They're going to turn around. I was going to be surprised if they were going to go further east, but no, they were just grabbing the vehicle, sending back out west towards IWNRX, who generally play that very pier west bridge split. It looks like they're going to take up that mantle once more. 4MV could go even further, could actually go over towards Primorsk, like you were talking about potential for Vampire to do later on.
Yeah, let's see what they decide to do. And another thing that I'm noticing right now is Power. Power, we normally see them try to take that Gadka area, kind of try to, you know, land kind of near DRX, take some loot, and then hopefully get in that position. But I think after that hot drop, they decided to go to their secondary location over near Yasnaya. So everybody trying to play it very carefully right now. You can see 4MV on the road. And no, yeah, it looks like 4MV are deciding to go to their main drop spot. So they got a vehicle and are heading all the way down to military base.
Interesting. Yeah, they are actually going to commit to it and go all the way there. It'll be interesting to see how easy it is for them to get back off of this one. You could potentially grab a boat and try and play for that west coast if you grab the south side, but I'm not too sure about this from 4MV, actually. I feel like they will get loot because of it, but that bridge is going to get packed because you've got that hard west shift. I guess teams are going to prioritize more having a foothold into these next circles.
Yeah, and you can see there the picture. We see a gentleman in the stands. That is none other than Papa Mythic. That's right. Mythic's dad traveling all the way over here to see his son make it happen. So I love to see that there from Team Liquid. They're going to be over near that shelter area, which is a very dominant position, especially if we see a zone head towards that side. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen in this game, so they're going to have to make that travel pretty quickly. They're already in vehicles and on the move.
There we go.
You can see him. Look at him.
Hey, away from the camera.
Get my soul! Let's
Supporting
go!
his kid, man. What can you do? Watching his kid become a man here in Riyadh in the PMWC. Hopefully, getting a couple more points than they did last match, though, because they only got one. Don't bring it up to him. I'm sure it's a sore spot. But over on the east side, with Power behind them, Team Liquid gonna have to rotate past. Looks like they're doing that now. Boom as well. A little bit closer to the center now, heading towards that Gatka Fields area. DXavier having left Pachinki in that central area. You can see they're going to be scouting one another out. They're going to be aware of each other's presence now. Twisted Minds trying to move south from their South George. They extracted themselves successfully from their entanglement with Alolex IHC over on the north side.
I know Mythic like I know Mythic, I know why his dad's there.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right now. I guarantee you, Mama Mythic was like, nah, no way my mijo is going all the way across the world by himself. Dad, you better go with him. So it's good to be able to see him traveling over here with the son and watching him play against some of the best players on the planet here.
Oh, wow.
For a crazy prize pool, and we're going to see who's going to try to get that biggest chunk of it here real soon as we're starting to see some shots spring out due to these early rotations.
We've got approximately 15 million teams right now in the center of the circle. It seems to have gotten real packed real quick. Twisted Minds, DRX, I think, who else is in there? We've got DXavier trying to poke their noses in, Boomer in the middle. Everybody has tried to get very central, and we are starting to see a little bit of a rebound off of that. I think everyone basically wanted the same 2 compounds.
Yeah, everyone's just trying to get the most central they possibly can. They saw how that edge style play worked out in Sandhawk, and it didn't work out that well.
Hey, Talon did it quite well.
Except for Talon, right? But Talon's strategy was just hanging so far back in the blue and just, like I said, like vultures, just cleaning up everything that was left, and it worked out great. 10 eliminations. They're in 3rd place so far, so hopefully they can kind of make a normal match of this one here. Now, they are going to be in that one of my favorite places, just south of Everest, as we watch OnlyS go for the backflip.
Hits the 1 rotation.
Got it!
Front tire into the dirt. As we're back on board with him.
Front flip? No way.
Yeah. I mean, you had to do it to him. What was that? An excellent replay, a clean backflip, followed by an engagement. After tumbling off the bike, he loses speed and goes down. That tumble off the bike just cost him his life. TJP lose a player to a misplay on a bike that should not have happened.
OnlyS, in the biggest tournament of the year so far, decides to go for the front flip. Hey, you know what?
The first one was great.
They should give him at least 1 point for that.
I mean, the first one was great, right?
Yeah.
That front flip, clean, landed it, no risk. The second one, you can't just be randomly jumping off the bike. At this level, people like Maxman, people like Kalaris, those guys can take the dive and say, oh, accidents happen, guys, right, on their drive arounds. I'm pretty prone to doing that myself as well. But at this level, that should never be happening. You should never be jumping off that bike because you've just, for some reason, decided to go for a flip in the middle of the game.
It's like the old high school basketball days, You're in the wide open court. All you got to do is go for the layup, but instead you stop early and try to go for the 3. You hear that whistle, instantly benched after that one. Right? Well, we'll see how TJP is going to deal with that one. I'm sure OnlyS is going to get an earful after that because that's a critical one, especially considering that, they were in 2nd place going to this match. Hopefully the remaining 3 make it up for him, right? Just to have a great game regardless to kind of help mitigate some of that damage.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Bad news. TJP, 15 points right now, playing on his 3. We've seen what 3 players can do from Talon, but on this circle, it's going to get hairy. Next circle, just about to come through. Jukes. It's a hard southwest shift. That puts Primorsk in play, that puts Quarry in play.
Right now, I'm looking at 4MV. How are they going to decide to get into this next zone? Do they go on the edge of Sosnovka, try to get a boat, maybe try to head into the water here? Because the bridge is going to be extremely, extremely dangerous. You can see Tianba already over there near Primorsk. They're in a good spot. Team Liquid find a nice central position, but they're going to be mighty close to Boom Esports. And, Ayala, you got to get moving. And unfortunately, not able to make it away in time.
Goes down. Boom, able to extract what is most likely going to be a point from Team Liquid on this rotation. As they try and punch through the middle. Actually run down by Razy there, so that is going to sting. Team Liquid, 3 players.
Little hesitation there from Team Liquid, I'll be honest right there. I mean, they could have just taken that position and committed to it, but you could just see, I think they got a little bit too greedy, tried to head a little bit more central, or maybe they were worried that there was some players hiding in that building, so they kind of just waited out a little longer, either or. Fortunately, not working out for the best. They do end up losing 1, but they do have a good solid spot, so we'll give that to them.
I'm looking at the West Coast Road right now. Alpha 7 are leading the charge down south, but Alolex IHC very, very close behind them. Probably Alpha 7 going to be able to swing in a little bit quicker than Alolex IHC. I wouldn't expect them to clash immediately, but potential for it to get a little bit hotter on that western edge. Not too much contestation, but power is swinging in on that north side as well, so it could be pretty spicy in the time being. Twisted Minds holding a compound surrounded by hilltops. A lot of teams are going to be looking to take up position on those hilltops.
Mythic.
Reject goes down, and Mythic able to take a scalp for himself.
Taking out one of the MVPs that we saw last year, Ragey from Team Reject. The beautiful knock from Mythic. You can see that focus, trying to be able to soak up some more points for his team and make up for that loss that they had on that rotation. That'll help for sure. You can see 4MV, they do make their way through the bridge and onto the pier side of things, but they are on the edge, and you can see they have their eyes on IWNRX.
A trade back and forth. The two players are down, one on each side. 4MV's player a little bit lower. Zedwolf should be pick-upable, but they have to get there first. Swain needs to establish a perimeter. Doc going to be suppressed by the nades coming on through. Potential for this to get a little bit nasty, as Doc has another nade in hand. 3 more in the pocket as well. Pops it out. Wary behind the building. The healing come through. Both teams have got their reses on.
They're mighty close, mighty close. You see they got that Molotov. The mollies do break down doors. So he's going to go ahead and use that. Next zone does pop. So 4MV, if the zone goes away from them, you're going to see a little bit more urgency from them to get this fight done a little bit quicker rather than later. But they do have one of their players on that front line position knocked. That's going to make things much more difficult.
Yeah, Doc went down on that forward position. Look at frozen side angle. That's what we're going to be looking at for the remaining parts of this fight. The circle popped as well, and it's over towards Primorsk. A hard south shift on this one. We're going to the southwest point, and as time goes on, Vampire are more and more unhappy that they didn't drop that.
That is right, and unfortunately 4MV do lose that player, and with this zone being further towards Primorsk, they're going to be out of it. So yeah, 4MV has to take that fight sooner rather than later, but the Istanbul Wildcats next Ruya said, nah, you know what? You guys can go ahead and we'll fight a little bit later on. Let's get in the zone first.
Frozen's off angle for them was so impactful on IWNRX. Alliance trying to make their way through. They have lost a player. I think DX Xavier was the team to pick that one up. And on that south side, it's getting more and more close range. That ridgeline that sits populated mostly by trees just to the north and northeast of Primorsk. It runs along the north side of this circle. Just south of Quarry is such a difficult part of terrain to navigate when teams start to take up residency here. You can see Alola x IHC on that western edge right now trying to push on in. And they've had a lot of contestation, but I'm more interested in Alpha 7. They've sent all the way into Primorsk now.
Yeah, they decided to go very hard central. Normally we see them very comfortable on the edge, but I think you can tell that they have had a different change of heart when it comes to this stage. They've been putting in that homework, and it is paying off. It paid off already inside of Sandhawk as we watch that replay of that beautiful shot from Mythic, busting out Reggie out the vehicle and taking him down. Now we're watching Dambo with the knock on the Mafioso, catches him slipping, and he's gonna get the thirst.
Yeah, that was that replay on the approach for Alola x IHC. I said they were both on that western road. Alpha 7 managed to get into Primorsk, but at the cost of one of their players, right? Mafioso going down. And now, in Primorsk, they're kind of locked in on the south side, right? I mean, we've got about a 40% water circle right now, which means that any territory is good territory, but with the next circle most likely going to be pushing them out of Primorsk, it's a really dangerous position for them to hold, right?
I think they're very comfortable there, though. I mean, there are 3 players right now. They lost one, so you know what they say? Let's go ahead and err on the side of safety. Let's get towards the buildings and, you know, hold it down for now. If the zone does go to them, they're going to be in an excellent position, right? If it does end up going north, they have a lot of coverage and a lot of buildings to kind of leapfrog their way through. And I'll tell you what, if any team could do that, it's Alpha 7. They'd rather depend on their gun skill than just driving in a vehicle to a better position.
Vampire are trying to make their bid for the northwestern side. They've gone for a long rotate over the north of Quarry, and they're going to push in behind Just Godless for Alola x IHC if they spot him. Take a look at that northwest side. That's what I'm talking about here. Godless into the vehicle and has to evacuate. Alola x IHC going to push Demo backwards as well. Tony K leading the charge for Vampire. Glory scraps going on in the meantime, and that's what you were talking about. Down towards Primorsk, the circle goes as Vampire clash on the northwestern side. First player to go down to Godless is Tony K. That leading charge, and a second as well goes their way. Nades ringing out. Wow. And Team Liquid in the meantime on the northeast side going to be taking names. Alola x IHC holding strong against Vampires, and they meet a brick wall as they try and move in.
And there they go, looking to just punish Vampire on the late rotation, down to just one single player. Alola IHC doing a great job of just holding that ridge line. Now they should be able to get into the zone relatively easy. Let's take a look though up north. Corey, Talon, and Power getting into it once again. This is Power's opportunity to get some revenge for Sandhawk.
2 players remain for Power. Talon have 2 as well. A 2 versus 2 on the southwest point of Quarry, up on that high ground. Nobody else is nearby. They're locked in the cage match. Kante and Fidan playing on for Power. Linux and Misery for Talon. They might look to just disengage it, actually. Try and break the shackles of the fight.
I don't think they are doing that at all. Power knows exactly who they're fighting against, and they want that revenge. As we watch, look at that. Tianba putting in some work. And now we're going to look at Twisted Mind. So Tim Liquid do make it on over to Primorsk. And they are going to be playing neighbors with quite a few teams.
They have 6 eliminations, though. They have been a nuisance in the neighborhood. Nobody too happy with them on their road, and another knock goes their way, adding up to 7 now total on the boards. This is brilliant for Team Liquid. There's a knock sent their way. Mythic is down, but that's going to be rezzed up by Chief. In the meantime, Xavier trying to hold out. This is northeast side, close to Watch Ferry Pier. The nades of Tianba. There is no way you get your player out of that one. And now the remnants of Xavier, 2 players down to the right-hand side of Sean, maybe actually caught unawares as IWNRX back up on the beach side.
Yeah, IWNRX, they heard those shots. They said, let's try to third-party this action, but they know they're in a very, very bad position right now, so they just can't push needlessly. They need a good opportunity in order to make that push. Xavier are completely stuck on the bottom of this hill. If IWNRX weren't in that position, they would have already been gone.
Power finally loses another. Easy is there, by the way, for Power, but only 2 of them really in this scrap, and a knock over towards a Power player. Kante is down. Misery trying to descend now. They didn't go for the full-out brawl. They have just been... Oh, Misery wedges the buggy, steps out into the blue, and a hail of bullets from Fidan. That's going to take him down. There's no 2 ways about it. Can Linux get anything done? I don't think so. He's just going to turn tail straight into the fire.
He is out of there. And meanwhile, IWNRX now, man, on the push, punishing Tianba. That's 5 eliminations for them so far. Frozen throwing some smokes up there. That's going to eliminate their sight lines and allow them to push. And here comes Swain, looking to punish him out the vehicle. Popped out just a little too early.
Shan was able to get some miraculous plays under his belt during those group stages, but he's under fire from Swain now, and there's a bit of pressure on the back. A lot of smoke billowing from under the hood of XC's vehicle, and they're going to have to draw up short. They have to take control here and try and see what they can do. 3 players alive. Shan needs to heal. They've not got a lot of time to play with. Last player for Talon in the meantime as Easy bears down upon him.
Easy's got that nade locked and loaded. He's cooking it. He's cooking it. And it's good!
Oh.
Goodbye, Talon. Power. Getting a little taste of that sweet Sandhawk revenge.
Look at the circle, and again, Alpha 7 get blessed on this south shift. TJB as well with a brilliant position. These are our top 2 teams in the top 2 positions in this circle.
That's right.
Now. This could be a really fast opening for these guys.
Alpha 7 making that gamble towards Primorsk, paying off great. The zone just went to them, and they are holding it down there. They have plenty of coverage with those buildings, and it's going to be very difficult for any team to just push up on them for free. And you can see Carrillo is doing exactly what he's supposed to. Just play keep away. You don't want a team just to be able to push up on you. So Alpha 7 are in a great spot here, and I'll be honest, Alula IHC, beautiful rotation.
Yeah, going along that beach side, trying to use that terrain cover against Alpha 7. Only 1 player was stepping out towards them as Power finally lose their final member. Tianba pick up the point. Yeah, Alula IHC able to find that south point of Primorsk under the watchful eyes of Alpha 7. And that probably mostly comes down to the fact that Demo was able to get that pick on Mafioso, right? If you have 4 players of Alpha 7, you make that rotation under so much more pressure.
That's right, and Alpha 7 picked the right buildings to hold, because if they were holding that edge where IHC landed, then they could have just cut in corner, and now they would have been circumvented by them. So a great decision for them right now. I'm looking at IWNRX, though. They're still north of the zone, and they're going to have to find their way down pretty quickly as Twisted Minds finally are out of this match. Only 1 elimination, unfortunately, for them.
Boom, looking for the res. 2 players left on the north side as Alolex actually trying to wend their way through the streets here towards TJB, who have taken a knock over towards the beach warehouses. Team Liquid a little bit beyond them. TJB really have been suffering here. And I mean, it's all thanks to Alulex IHC, right? That rotation in, that strip up the east side, they have managed to take ground.
I love this from them, though. They are playing this very aggressive. They could have been happy to just play there in the south and just wait out for the next zone, but they do realize if the zone goes away from them, that all eyes are going to be on them. So they said, let's not waste time. Let's start pushing up little by little right now, apply some pressure, and put ourselves in a better position for this next circle. Big heads-up play from Alula IHC.
You can see the angles that are currently held by IWNRX. That third-party information comes down. They try and descend. The high ground suppression as they try and stop the knocks going through. But Kind is found. Swain is low. And there's another torn out of the vehicles on the descent. TJB catch IWNRX sleeping.
Oh, I mean, IWNRX, I think, just pushed a little too early. They happened to push when it was completely silent. So the second they go, all eyes are on them and like, ooh, free points over here. Let's take some of that. So they got punished. Just unfortunate timing on that rotation.
Tianpa pushing it on the northwest side. DRX trying to slow them down, and they'll do just that. Drawn back, and DRX keeping up the points tally now. 6 eliminations on the northwestern side. Not too many neighbors either. And they're going to push towards the central glut. Next circle comes in now.
Let's see where it goes. Who's going to have the advantage in this one? Is he going to send her up? No, it doesn't. It does go a little bit to that eastern side. So now Alpha 7 have to make a decision here. Do we just try to push up a little bit early, try to get a more central spot? I don't think so. I think they're just going to hold it now, force to play, clear out their backs, and then deal what's up front a little bit later on.
Team Liquid as well with a decent position on this, but they are going to be having to be the break point for the waves of teams coming in from the western side. Alpha 7 potentially turning their attention there, but DRX is the main threat to Alpha 7 right now. You cannot move if you're Alpha 7 until they're gone, or until they make their move first.
And yeah, I think even bigger threat's going to be Alula IHC. They were so smart to push up more central a little earlier on, especially with this rotation, and you can see them putting pressure onto teams all over the place. Boom, Esports down to their final player, gets another confirmation there. And let's see, actually, I don't even think he's going to be able to get this res off. Nope, he goes to heal himself first. And his teammate goes down.
See what you can do as a solo. Alpha 7, they are making their push. They're trying to hold DRX out. They're staying where they are. They know they have a little bit more to step forwards, but they're going to deal with this backfill first. Knock over towards the backlines of DRX means that that 2 minutes for the circle to close is going to be eaten up a little bit, but the rest has already come through, and a little bit more time now for DRX to try and play around this one. Alulex IHC going to be fully aware that this fight's scrapping on.
And this is a really tough fight for Alpha 7 because they're down a man, and Carrillo's so far in the backlines, I'm not sure he's in a position to help, so it's going to be most likely a 4v2 between DRX and Revo and McGrellin from Alpha 7. Let's see if those two players are going to be able to hold it down. Actually, no, Carrillo is able to find a position in this fight, so it is a pure 4v3. One nade from DRX on the Alpha 7 could be so punishing, though.
Same both ways, though. Nade towards the back doesn't find Revo. He sits, he lies in wait. Behind the smoke, steps up the shot, but doesn't connect. Stands in the fire and goes down through the window. McGrellin as well. Carrillo now is the last hope for Alpha 7 to try and keep this train going. DRX crossing, though, and they are getting scythed straight on through. The off-angle shots from Team Liquid to keep their countrymen in this match.
Woo, Carrillo say, thank you, my Brazilian brothers, because that helped out a whole lot. But this nade from QZ could spell disaster. And it does. It gets the finish on the McGrellin, and Carrillo is out of there. That's Alpha 7 done for.
Vengeance, though, on the minds of Team Liquid. Brazilian teams, you don't want to mess with them, and they got to spray you down. You try and take that fight, and DRX fall. A lot of eliminations found. They're up into 3rd place on the match, but TJP still have legs. Alulex IHC looking interminable right now.
Looking too good. I mean, these guys have been pushing all the way from the edge. This game was definitely not given to them. They have worked very hard for this one. They're in a solid position. They still have their entire team up. They're the only squad with 4. Let's see where this next zone goes, though. It could definitely make things tricky.
Demo.
So where this next, they still definitely looking. Thank you, my brother. And it does. It gets the finish on the McGrellan, and Carrillo is out of there. That's Alpha 7 done for.
Vengeance, though, on the minds of Team Liquid. Brazilian teams, you don't want to mess with them. And they got to spray you down. You try and take that fight, and DRX fall. A lot of eliminations found.
Squad.
Demo spreading out wide, looking for a rotation on towards the beach side for Alolex IHC. Demo gets around that headland, and that could be pretty valuable, if not just for the information on that break, but also for the angle he can provide. You can see exactly what he's trying to do here. Try to light up those teams on the coastline, try to slow down TJB. Alex already with a breach over towards Team Liquid, a little bit further north out there, and another chunk of damage taken out. Team Liquid suffering on that northern side. Boom. Gonna be giving them trouble as well. Yummy. Last player standing for them, but he's not going down just yet.
IHC just putting in work, just causing chaos on everybody else. As you see everybody just holding their position, trying to defend. IHC is on the move right now. Mythic making a nice shot onto Alex. That's gonna slow him down a little bit. And you can see him up close and personal. Tries to throw that nade to get that confirmation. Does he get it? In the meanwhile, his teammate Chief gets knocked. But IHC are focusing on so many different squads. They definitely need to start narrowing that focus on one team at a time.
They're not going for a full push just yet, which is why they haven't regrouped and gone as a full fist, because they are the only team with 4 players alive right now. Everybody else on 2 players or less. Yummy moving in to try and handle Team Liquid around the door frame. The shot connects just in time. Can Chief get this res onto Mythic?
Woo! And you can see his dad is staring right now, seeing what his son could do in this position. It's just Mythic and Chief. Mythic, man, he's got the dad buff right now. He's got 7 eliminations. He's crushing it.
Oh yeah, what a time to do it. Kind for IWNRX leading the charge on the coastline. Mythic does go down again. I think that was actually the flush. Paragin not going to last too much longer out in that water. He's gone for a swim. I don't think he's going to be able to get out. Don't even need a towel for that one. Alolex IHC, though, just surrounding this lobby, trying to choke the life out of it, and so far, doing so successfully.
Yo, a legend in PUBG Mobile Esports. 8 eliminations for the squad. Godless crushing it right now for the team with a whole bunch of those. Make that 6, as a matter of fact. You can see Demo doing a great job. Of trying to apply pressure to IWNRX. That knock, though, couldn't have been at a worse time.
This 2-2 split right now seems to be working out. They are able to just find this cover, hold these positions, and go for the 1-2 rezzing. You only need one player to get knocked to make that outpost really difficult to play. But because no other teams have more than 2 players alive, you can hold this for a lot longer than otherwise you would be able to.
Yeah, and IWNRX are just stuck regardless, right? Because there's still so many other players that are looking right at them. You got TJB looking in this direction. You got Paragin down to like half an HP, still hanging out in the water right now. Gonna have to make sure he breathes for air, though.
I think he's got that boat as cover from the north side and the terrain as cover from the buildings.
Perfect position for him. Now you can see IHC started to throw out some smokes. They're trying to be able to group up together. If they're able to get that group, they're going to be practically unstoppable here.
They need to get back across that road. That smoke train needs to be cut through by Longs. Waiting for that crossing. It's all that's going to matter. If you can take 1 or 2 players down, it is huge news for TJB. Alex making the dash. Goes over for Alolex IHC. Godless holding the angle, waiting to regroup. Now he makes his move, and Alolex IHC moving those vehicles around, repositioning. The smoke trains has allowed Godless to get through, but one phase just at the end. It's not going to matter, though. Nobody's peeking the angle, and they are as 1 unit. They've been split for a while, but back together. Are they going to have the success they're looking for?
Let's see. Right now, the only thing that's going against them is Papa Blue, the blue zone. Ooh. If that blue zone decides to go north, they're going to be in big trouble. Other than that, they're looking pretty unstoppable right here. 8 eliminations, and they've just been non-stop pushing here. Let's see what's going to happen here in the next few moments. Because right now, TJB, they are the most central. And honestly, they have the best chance of this game. considering that there are so many fights going on, unless Alula IHC is able to get that knock. Team Liquid finally go down. This is stage 9, folks. The zone's about to go into nothing. Alula IHC needs to start throwing those smokes out. That's exactly what they're doing here, because they need to find a way to be able to get into a fair fight with TJB.
That pickup onto the Team Liquid player out in the west is huge. It allows them a clean flank on their position to be able to push up towards TJB. The smokes on the door frame push TJB out the back and into the sightlines of IWNRX. They need this fight now. IWNRX gonna crunch on in as well. Let's see where Alula IHC go. And Demo straight into the mouth of the fight. Around to the outside of the warehouse now. They've got it surrounded.
That was the definition of offensive smokes, and now we're gonna watch Alula IHC starting to press onto IWNRX. They're stuck in the water. There's nothing they can do. The only team that can stop them is TJB, but they're on the back foot as well. That nade could be good though. Oh, just short of the rock.
Not gonna quite make it. Paragen for DX Xavier as well could potentially have a say in this fight if he's able to find something. Swain goes down, and with it, IWNRX. They fall out of this one, so it is only now Paragen in the water. Alex goes down. Demo as well, moving in to look for the backup here. TJB holds strong for the time being. And Alula IHC don't know that Paragen's there.
Oh, so smart of them, though. They're just going to get that reset. Ah, they caught him, so now there's no worries. They're just going to go for a quick reset here. Oh, that vehicle, if it would have gone a little further, would have knocked him. Ooh. Nice shots there from Flower. TJB are putting in work. Only 2 more.
One player now stands. It's just Yo. Flower behind the vehicle, trying to step out wide. Zio behind is on the shoreline. He's closer to the edge, and it's a 1 versus 1. Zio needs to hold his nerve with a PP Bison. Trying to play off against Longs now for TJB. A nade in hand, it's cooking. Goes Long, steps back in. No damage done. Zio breaks wide. Doesn't have as much HP as Longs, and he takes it. TJB with a 2 versus 4 hole. Out of nowhere.
Are you kidding me? I mean, it looked like Alula IHC were unstoppable, but TJB said, nah, not today. Some critical knocks were able to finish that out.
He sits.
Godless crushing it right now for the
Alex making the dash.
Doing here, because they need to find a way to be able to get into a NRX. They're stuck in the water. There's nothing they can do. The only team that can stop them is TJB, but they're on the back foot as well. That nade could be good though. Oh, just short of the rock.
Not gonna quite make it. Paragen for DX Xavier as well could potentially have a say in this fight. This one to look for something. Swain goes down, and with it, IWNRX. They fall out of this one, so it is only now Paragen in the water. Alex goes down. Demo as well, moving in to look for the backup here. TJB holds strong for the time being. And Alula IHC don't know that Paragen's there.
Oh, so smart of them, though. They're just going to get that reset. Ah, they caught him, so now there's no worries. They're just going to go for a quick reset here. Oh, that vehicle, if it would have gone a little further, would have knocked him. Ooh. Nice shot.
One player.
Stick those for house, kind of just, I mean, you
see, and they just change things. But I think Alula IHC.
We're going to take this chicken dinner. Said, hey, you know what? We're going to take this chicken dinner for now. Guys, one more match from us. 4 more left to go. We'll be right back.
in general, if you don't know any scouting information towards Sunken City, let's take a look at the replay. The demo was just lighting them up. Ratto boy going to be taken down, getting the sprays in, nicely done. Alpha 7 trying to slow Reject down, but they're already across. There is still a presence on their northern side though. Divine might be in danger if Alpha 7 find him.
Let's see if they do, though. It's going to be pretty difficult because they're going to have to find a way into this next zone. It looks like they're going to probably try to go through the Yasnaya side of things. Yeah, they're going to try to go extra safe here. And I can't blame them. They have to watch out, though, because TJB is starting to make that path from Severny. They could definitely run into them. I think Alpha 7 trying to play it as safe as possible. They got those gas cans good to go. Uh-oh, now we're going to see Alliance make some pop shots. This is what I'm talking about. It's a great opportunity for teams to try to get some extra points, some extra loot as well, if we can catch a couple of these big players on rotation.
IWNRX also trying to make their way in close to Team Liquid on these shelter entrances. They're going to take up residency here. That ridge line to their south side, going to give them a bit of cover, but teams can occupy those hillsides and be a real nuisance to them on that angle. But they've got a lot of sight lines open for them to control the ground around them for the time being. Alpha 7, they managed to go all the way on the north side of Yasnaya now, and you're right, TJB potentially harrying the back foot of their rotation. I think it's Revo potentially bringing up the rear for Alpha 7, but it looks like he's just managed to slip the net of TJB and rejoin with the 3 teammates on the east side.
Well, here's a big opportunity for teams to start catching up on the leaderboards. We're already starting to see some good solid leaders. TJB with 30 points right now, sitting pretty. Still a lot of matches left to be played in this finals, but how you start really sets the pace for the rest of the tournament here, because things only get only more difficult every game as we go. So if you could start off with a nice strong lead, maybe you get a bad zone on day 2, it kind of helps mitigate some of that damage.
At the moment, first place in both group stage and survival stage has been a 10-point average, Hot Jukes. So the fact that we've currently got only the one team technically on a 10-point average, because this is the 3rd match played, but really what we're looking at is 2 matches played, means that we've got 3 teams up on that record and DRX close by. A lot of early power being displayed, but that's generally quite typical, having only played 2 matches, to have 2 or 3 teams at that sort of level, because you have those chicken dinners being a lot more impactful overall. It unbalances things a little bit. But TJB on 30 means that they've already put the results up for this 3rd match as well to make a statement towards a 3-match 10-point average.
And let's see how they're going to do it. So they're going to head towards Yasnaya Fields. This is a very interesting spot. There's actually a lot of areas they could take. Yeah, you can see GK First is going to be holding that ridge line right there. Actually, it's a tree line. It's a beautiful, beautiful location in a zone like this. But it's still very, very early. We're still at stage 1. It just goes to show you how fast these teams rotate, folks. I mean, we haven't even popped stage 2, and pretty much everybody except 2 teams are already all set up.
They're looking to try and get in as well. Vampire pushing in from the southwest side. Haven't really had an impact so far. Their Sandhawk looked okay. Their first Erangel, not so much. We'll see if they can have a 3rd match resurgence. Central Circle looks like a donut on the screens right now. Hopefully, not too many teams going to be taking the dunk, though. And over on the east side, Alpha 7 looking to push in. TJB actually skirting the south edge of Yasnaya under the view angles of power. So potential danger there. Crossing those Yasnaya fields is always going to be treacherous.
Yes, it is. There's not a lot of coverage there. There are plenty of hay bales, but that's not a place you want to get stuck, especially so early in the match. The zone could go anywhere. You want to be able to put yourself in a nice, confident position with your vehicles nice and safe.
Ooh.
Uh-oh, let's go ahead and see what happens here as Boom Esports trying to catch Reject slipping as 3 of their teammates are driving. Uh-oh. Hello, getting pieced up quite a bit.
Hang on a minute.
Oh, actually Obscure from Twisted Minds. From downtown, gets the knock with the Mini 14.
Last player alive for Twisted Minds as well. They're only down to 1, remember, with their scrap earlier.
That's
with
right.
Alula IHC. They are going to be not really going to be able to go for that push. Not going to be able to try and get this flush. But that stops Reject from most likely actually getting Duello back up. With Boom's position on the hillside, going for that rescue is going to be deadly.
You can see Sarah just punching the air right now, frustrated because they lost that player to a 3rd party that they did not see coming. And that could be an extra point on the board for Twisted Minds. That's what it's looking like for sure. Next zone, of course, it did center on up. So a very, very common position for all of these teams. They all know this side of the map like the back of their hands. Team Liquid were able to get to their shelter area. They're not in the spot where they normally like to hold for the most part. And not to mention, they do end up being there with one player down. So let's see how they're able to continue on here. Meanwhile, we've always got to take a look at where TJB is. They are on top of the leaderboards right now. And they are holding that Yasnaya field position. And more often than not, we see a lot of circles go there. So very kind of smart play for them.
Looks like Reject are going to get that res with Boom moving up north to take control of a compound a little bit further away. The door got opened for Reject to make that rotation to pick up their player, and it looks like they're going to take that opportunity on the northern side. Now 2-2 for Reject. Boom a little bit further to the northwest. Alliance, they haven't really done too much so far in these first two matches, but on the south side, there's potential for them to have a pretty heavy scrap. But the same story is true for Vampire. They're starting to poke their noses in. And with the hills that they're occupying, it's going to be dangerous. Vampire trying to find the western side of this 2-2 split from Alliance.
Yeah, let's see where this next zone's going to go. By the way, folks, you see Alpha 7 all the way on the right side of the map. They got there all the way from North George. So they had one heck of a rotation to get here, and they were still able to find a position, and the zone goes towards them. So that crazy rotation paying off for now. But it looks like they may have to hold off Tiambe. I thought they were going to bite off more than they could chew. No, they said, you know what? Turn back around. We're going to all group together and fight for our lives right now, because we're going to see teams on a hurry trying to get in a better position for this next circle.
This elimination feed is about to pack real full right now. This south side is so congested. With Reject, they're just going to get out of there. They don't want to be involved. Obscure's going to try and keep his head down and keep Twisted Minds in this match. DRX currently holding this really powerful dip, but the compound that Tiamba are in right now, I'm looking at as being such an important linchpin position. Team Liquid, I think, a little bit closer to it as well. Sorry, they're in the compound I was thinking about. Going to be holding in such an important position to break those waves of teams approaching them from that southwest side. DXavier going to be a little bit short. That IWNRX going to find their way in potentially, and the fights are going to start to pop off. That's Reject in the center, but this south edge just going to get more dangerous. Vampire, Alliance, 4MV, IWNRX all vying for the position to the west of Prison.
Oh, and they're going to battle it out right here the next few moments, folks. You can see Vampire Esports vehicle smoking, and they're able to pop out one tire. He'd be done for it, but 4MV aren't able to get those shots off in time. Newsy full sending it on in, desperately trying to find a spot into this next zone, and it's going to be a tough one. They're going to have to find just a random shack or building here, or possibly even set up a car wall. And it looks like Tony K is going to just say, hey, this dip is where we're going to have to go. Unfortunately, they do end up making a sacrifice of stone.
Tiamba able to take that one down, playing in that central position. Team Liquid that forefront, but Tiamba that backup turret just taking shots across the way. Vampire lose a player to it. Boom. They're in their crater.
Oh.
That just funnels nades towards you, and with Alula IHC right next to you, it is so dangerous to be in this position. On the west side, no one's really close by. This is the south side of Yasnaya Fields. In these craters. And in goes Demo. He's just getting that scouting information. Nearly goes down. That would have been curtains for him, but diverts, gets to safety.
A little IC have to time this perfectly here. You know, if you're going to try to drive up with the car, you have to have some other teammates to help support fire, and unfortunately that timing was a little off. That nade, though, was way too close for comfort. Francie said, nah, I think I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and head back over here, guys. The smokes are starting to ring out, and I think Boom said, yeah, let's get out of here. This is not a fight we want to take.
These South Yas craters can be treacherous, especially given that they're right on the western side of this circle. Means that you can take the fight, you can defend them, sure. You need to expend...
And unfortunately that timing was a little off. That nade, though, was way too close for comfort. Francie said, nah, I think I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and head back over here, guys. The smokes are starting to ring out, and I think Boom said, yeah, let's get out of here. This is not a fight we want to take.
These South Yas craters can be treacherous, especially given that they're right on the western side of this circle. Means that you can take the fight, you can defend them, sure. You need to expend so much utility, which is what we saw come back to bite TJB in the last match, right? Sorry, Alula XIHC in the last match. So they don't really want to be spending this much utility to get rid of Boom. Boom are going to give ground. They don't want to spend the utility either, because it's not a prior position in this circle.
Next zone goes on up. Centers right down the middle. Talon looking really good. Another great shift for Alpha 7 as well. All they got to do is clear out their backs. Meanwhile, Rejects are going to start popping some shots onto Boom. And yeah, I think he said, you know what? I'll take those shots and run because we need to find a better position in this circle. But they may already be too late. They should have been in their vehicles already.
Is this curtains for Obscure? Yummy's going to roll on over the rear axle, right to the skull. That's dangerous. That's deadly. And Twisted Minds are out.
Twisted Minds getting taken out mighty early on this one. A rough start for them. Only 5 points on the board so far. And that's going to hold on into the next match here. About to reach the second half of day 1. IWNRX on the push.
Ooh,
here come
1-2.
out the shotguns. And starting to punish 4MV one by one.
Apex goes down next, and it's just Doc who's wondering what the hell just happened. This tower was supposed to be their sanctuary, but Doc has the spray down. 1, 2, maybe a third onto Kyan. He's low. Might just be able to pick it back together, get some healing done, but Doc is still so low. He can't risk this push. There's Swain on the off angle. Goes for the third party peek, but Doc's still the challenge. No, not quite. 2 players down for IWNRX. This is all the way on the south. They need these reses now and fast to be able to get into this next circle. Alliance are going to have heard this. Looking for the third party. The remnants of Vampire are going to be holding them in place for now, but everybody else around is going to know that IWNRX are looking pretty shaky.
Everybody knows that Wizard Tower and IWNRX try to hold it on. Let's see what is going to happen, though, as Alliance are going to have to get in some vehicles here and get moving. They still have their entire team up, but they're in a very, very tough position. They can either decide to try and hug this and brisk it towards Mansion and head towards Alpha 7, or push right into Vampire, and that's exactly what is happening. They get one finish there, and Vampire are on the run.
Vampire keep expending players to get into positions further forward. Schwepp goes down. Tony K's making the dash to these vehicles that they've been able to actually get into a little bit of a ditch.
Uh-oh!
But he's not going to last it out. Vampires go down, the vehicle goes up in flames, and so do they. Knocks over now towards IWNRX as DRX try and flow on through this position, and they might have finally gone down here. Swain is the last to stand. DXavier not having a good time either.
DXavier in a terrible spot here. They're just holding that edge, and it's nothing but open field right in